Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Welcome to The Money Cure. I'm your host, Reverend Sean Robert Grant. Happy to be back. I was saying on my podcast with Heart of Christ Ministry earlier that, sometimes life just gets busy and then you just can't do podcasts anymore. But the thing I'm most excited about is when I do find the time to be able to do them and I can get to doing them, it's really quite exciting to deliver these episodes. And so I'm just stoked. I'm stoked to be here with you. I hope this message finds you well. I know I got a lot of listeners across the world, so that's why I always say good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, because we've got people listening in South Africa. We got people listening in Australia, and other parts of the world. So thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate you to the utmost. Also, if you have any questions, please feel free to write to SeanG04@gmail.com, SeanG04@gmail.com, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Don't forget to check out the resources at medium.com/Sean Grant. And if you want to take it a step further, I also have published a book called The Money Cure. Discovering, healing your relationship to money and discovering your true path to abundance has been available for a long time now, about a year, maybe not just almost a year, but not quite. Probably around seven months or so, something like that. But we got some nice reviews there. If you want to check that out, it's available on Amazon in Kindle as well as paperback. Okay, so got that business out the way here, and now let's talk about today's message: living by grace instead of money. Living by grace instead of money. Okay. Now, this is one of my, by far, favorite messages. And the reason being is because I truly feel like this is something that everybody not only needs to know, but needs to be aware of. It needs to be in a space where they can comprehend this message on a subconscious level. Okay. So, and the only way to do that is to really understand what that means when I say live by grace and not by money. So I'm going to take you back here a bit. And, if you've been with me for a while, you may already know what I'm talking about, but it's important for me to reiterate the truth behind what I'm saying. So if you're listening for the first time, you can get it. Okay. Or at least understand it somewhat. Sorry, I had a sip of water. So when we think of grace, immediately we need to think of the infinite supply that is God. And when we think of the infinite supply that is God, we need to think about the infinite divine substance, which is the divine energy, which is what creates every single thing that we see in this world, in this life, in this material reality. Okay. And that is unlimited, and it operates according to your consciousness. If you're not aware of what consciousness is basically your soul condition, how you think, how you feel, how you act from a subconscious level. That is your consciousness, right? So you can look at your life and really see what your consciousness is carrying and kind of deduct where you are from there. So that's a quick explanation of it. But ultimately, that's what grace is. Grace is the ability of the power of God, right? The omnipotence, the omniscience, and the omnipresence of God that is in you to operate in your life and to provide you with all that you need and desire, and a overflowing got a loss for words. Surplus is what I was trying to say. In a capacity that is overflowing, a surplus of this energy to produce all things, money included. Okay. Now, the issue comes in when we begin to live for money instead of living for and by grace. And so here's the problem why living by money instead of grace. So imagine, how can I put this? Okay. If you understand how manifestation works and how the law of attraction works, you will never do an unconscious, or you will never make an unconscious goal or intention to try and manifest something. You'll never just act and leave it up to chance, okay? You'll always go within, clear your mind, set the intention, set the goal, create the feeling, and then allow it to manifest, right? So when we talk about making money, it's making money like relying on money as opposed to grace. It's pretty much, it's hard to articulate, but I just want to make sure that you get it. It's pretty much like, okay, here's a perfect analogy, and you'll see how much it doesn't make sense. It's like putting your clothes in the dryer before you stick them in the washer. Okay? Right? And the reason I say that is because if you place your clothes in the dryer before you place them in the washer, it takes away the most important part of that, or one of the most important components. And that is, if your clothes aren't washed, it makes no sense to dry them, which means if you're focusing on money, you're going to limit the charge. You're going to limit the ability for you to manifest in a powerful, expansive way, because you're looking at it as physical energy. And here's why. Physical energy, 3D, third dimensional energy, is the lowest density form of energy, and it moves the slowest, right? When we start thinking about mental energy and spiritual energy, it doesn't move according to time and space. It's the exact opposite with physical energy, which leads us to tell us, if we place our faith in the idea of money, physical money, money in our accounts, whatever it is, we're going to slow down our manifestations. Okay? We're going to slow them down, and we can even, almost like creating an electrical shortage, we'll find that we can burn out the candle of manifestation that would often bring us an abundance, that would often bring us that surplus that we talked about. So without getting too far down the rabbit hole and being too complicated, all you really want to do is take that faith. So as a kid, you may have been taught, you need money. You really need money. You need money to pay your bills. You need money to take care of, this need or that need. You got to pay for college. You got to pay for clothes. You got to pay for food. You need money for this. You need money for this, right? And so you begin to make money a god. And I'm speaking from experience because that's what I did. Money seemed like this god. But when I did that and I made it, the highest priority in my life suffered. And I know this is a podcast about the money cure, and a lot of it is dealing with letting go of those old ideas that you just have to focus on money and money alone, and then you can't do anything else. Well, I can tell you once again from experience, when I did that, my life kind of fell apart because I started to make questionable decisions. And when you're making decisions based on money alone, you make some really, really questionable, suspect. I mean, there's so many words we can say, basically decisions that don't necessarily benefit you. Because why? Because when it comes to money, it's not expansive. Although there is a monumental amount that is available in this material reality, it's still in a lot of ways limited as opposed to grace, right? Excuse me. Getting back to God being omnipotent, God being omnipresent, God being omniscient, right? One of those, omnipotent, means all powerful, which means And then the other one that's so important, I mean, they're all important, but to me, omnipresence, and you can go back and listen to an episode, we talked a lot about this, but omnipresence means God, meaning God's grace, is present everywhere, right? So if you have a need, if you have your monetary need, a lot of times we think, okay, let me go get a job. Let me go seek out some new clients. Let me, contact this person so I could probably get an opportunity to get the money that I need. But that's the lower vibrational way of going about it, right? What I advise and what I have sort of turned the corner with in my life, especially here in the last decade, is connecting to the grace of God. Connecting to the God presence that is within you, that is also present everywhere, and affirming that need already being completed and provided for through grace, under grace, in a perfect way, in a perfect capacity, right? And so when you do that, instead of having to have a certain job happen, instead of having to have a certain person give you an amount of money, grace spans the universe. And because grace spans the universe, grace is going to find the path of least resistance to bring you the very thing you need, and it will bring it in abundance. And oftentimes it will bring it even before you need it. Okay, that's the beauty of grace is that grace is just God's spirit, and God's spirit is once again omniscient, meaning all-knowing. Jesus once said, your Father knows your needs even before you ask, right? It knows what you need even before you ask. So a lot of times it's already 5, 6, 7 steps ahead, providing you for what you need. But you've got to place your faith in grace and not in money, the physical money, because what's going to happen is money can only go so far, right? Now, the one thing that I don't want you to get confused about is the idea that you should just let go of money altogether. No, not what I'm saying, but I want to clarify that it's easy to get caught up in thinking, okay, well, I'll just kick money to the curb. No, you got to have a good relationship with it. The idea is just not to be attached to it. And the other idea is not to make it your God. Okay. Not to make it your source for provision. A lot of times you'll find, personally speaking, once again, the universe will fail you until you make grace your source. You will find yourself in situations where it seems like you have apparent lack. And what I mean by apparent, it appears that you're in lack, but you're never really in lack. The thing is, you just got to shift your consciousness into a place where grace can be sufficient for you, where grace is your source, where the divine is consistently able to deliver exactly what you need and desire, and then some. Universe will a lot of times move you into, once again, a place of seeming lack until you get to that place where you can trust grace completely. Okay. And so when we're there, and this can take some time because most of us, if not all of us, are deconstructing these limiting beliefs that we've had as kids surrounding this whole concept of money and provision. So it takes as long as it takes, but you stick with it. So once you get past that point, then it sort of frees you up to realize that money is just the direct result and expression of grace, of my faith in grace, of my faith in God and me and the universe. It's a reflection of it, right? When you see someone who has, what we would call in the material world an abundance a lot, it's because within their consciousness, right? Within their consciousness, they understand true supply. And the beauty is we're coming to it through a spiritual path. You can get to it through other paths of being, because, I mean, we see billionaires every day who have not one spiritual bone in their body. You just have to tap into that concept of grace, of infinite supply, and you can be anyone, anywhere, anybody, any religion, any spirituality, and be producing on an immensely abundant level, right? And it just gets back to understanding. And I love this. I love this quote. I've said it before. I'll say it again because this is so important. Joel Goldsmith says, supply is an inner quality. Okay? Supply is an inner quality. And the reason why supply is an inner quality is because it is you've got to have it within in order to see it without. And the only way to have it within is to have that faith in the grace of God, which is the infinite supply and the energy and consciousness that produces all of the abundance, all of the resources that we could ever need right here, right now. That's it. Living by grace and not by money. If you choose to live by grace, I promise you guys, I promise you, you will see not just money, but everything else expand in a monumental way in your life. Okay? So, never really feel like we have enough time for these things, but I think we've covered a lot today. And if you have any questions, I would love to talk to you about it, because this is a concept that, you know, you should spend as much time as you possibly can on it, especially if you're not really understanding it as clear as you want to. So with that being said, guys, once again, if you have any questions, please write to us at SeanG04gmail.com. Medium.com/Sean Grant. Some free content there for you. 289 articles and counting. And then also, if you'd like to get the Money Cure book, visit Amazon, and you can get it on Kindle or paperback. It's called The Money Cure by Reverend Sean Robert Grant. Healing your relationship to money and discovering your true path to abundance. It's a beautiful book. Short read, allows you to kind of, make some notes on it and everything else and reread it as much as you can so you can study that material. So with that being said, that ends today's message. Guys, have a wonderful night, a wonderful morning, a wonderful afternoon, and I'm sure I will see you soon. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.